Hi, welcome back for chapter 56. When we left Odd, he had just looked at the wound on Bob Robertson and seen the tattoo, and then realized it was Officer Varner of the Pico Mundo Police Department. That was Bob Robertson's kill buddy, and has left there in a rush. He realized that Varner had a similar tattoo, an acronym, and he was trying to think of what the acronym stood for. So that's where we start. Chapter 56. Not DOP, POD, Prince of Darkness. The source of Simon Varner's tattooed acronym, POD, occurred to me as I crossed the town line, returning to Pico Mundo. Costume Satanists performed weird rituals with an obscenely decorated chalice, would be regarded by most people as being less well-intentioned, but also markedly sillier than the elaborately fur-hatted members of a men's lodge called the Fraternal Order of Hedgehogs. Men who dress up to look bad are as suspect of being nerds as are those men with weed-whacker haircuts, tortoiseshell eyeglasses, pants worn 5 inches above the navel and 3 inches above the shoes, and bumper stickers that say Jar Jar Binks rules. If I would have been inclined to dismiss them as nerds playing at evil, that inclination had not held past the moment when I found the Rubbermaid boxed souvenirs in the freezer. Now that I suspected the identity of Robertson's collaborator, I trusted my supernatural gift to lead me to him. Considering that in the grip of psychic magnetism, Stormy sometimes shortened it to PM syndrome or PMS. I occasionally make abrupt turns. I drove with as much speed as seemed prudent. Under the influence of PMS, I zone out to some extent, and try to think only about the object of my interest, in this case Varner, rather than about where I am at any moment, or about where I might be going. I'll know where I'm going when I get there. In this state, my conscious mind relaxes, and random thoughts pop into it almost as often as I make seemingly random turns in search of my quarry. This time, one of those thoughts involved my mother's older sister, Simri, whom I have never met. According to my mother, Simri is married to a Czechoslovakian whose first name is Daub. My father says Simri has never married. Neither of my parents has a history of reliability. In this case, however, I suspect that my father is telling the truth, and that I have no uncle of either Czechoslovakian or any other heritage. My father says that Simri is a freak, but he will say no more. His assertion infuriates my mother, who denies Simri's freakhood and calls her a gift from God. This is an odd statement on my mother's part, considering that she lives her life as if with the firm conviction that God does not exist. The first time I had asked Granny Sugars about her mysterious firstborn, she dissolved in tears. I have never seen her cry before. The next day, still red-eyed, she had hit the road again in pursuit of faraway poker games. The second time I asked her about Simri, she became angry with me for pursuing the issue. I had never before seen her angry. Then she became cold and distant. She had never previously been that way with me, and her behavior reminded me too much of my mother. Thereafter, I never asked about Simri. I suspect that in an institution somewhere, managed with drugs and humane restraints, I have an aunt who is at least a little like me. I suspect that as a child, she didn't conceal her special gift as I did. This is probably why Granny Sugars, with all her poker winnings, left no estate of which I'm aware. I think she funded a trust to pay for Simri's care. Over the years, my father has let slip certain clues leading me to speculate that Simri's sixth sense, whatever strange talents it may encompass, is accompanied by physical mutation. I think she scared people, not just because of things that she said, but also because of how she looked. More often than not, a baby born with one mutation will in fact have 2 or more. Ozzy says, and apparently not in his role as a writer of fiction, that 1 in every 88,000 babies is born with a 6th finger on one hand, as he was. Hundreds, if not thousands of them should be walking the streets of America. Yet how many 6-finger hands have you seen on adults? You don't encounter them because most of those babies are born with other and more terrible deformities that cause them to die early in infancy. These 6-fingered children, fortunate enough to be robustly healthy, will usually receive surgery if the superfluous digit can be removed without affecting their function of the hand. They walk among us, little Ozzy says, passing for 5-fingered mundanes. I think all this is true because Ozzy is proud of his sixth finger and enjoys collecting lore on what he calls the natural-born pickpockets who are members of my superior breed. He says that his second mutation is his ability to write well and swiftly, turning out enthusiastically received books at a prodigious pace. I dream of Aunt Simri from time to time. These are not prophetic dreams. They are full of yearning and sadness. Now, at 12:21, daydreaming about Simri, yet acutely and nervously aware of precious minutes passing, fully in the PMS zone, I expect to find Officer Simon Varner in the vicinity of either the bowling alley or the multiplex theater where the dog movie would unreel shortly after 1 o'clock. Instead, I was led unexpectedly to the Green Moon Mall. What I saw was unusual for a Wednesday in summer: a packed parking lot. The giant banner reminded me that the mall merchant's annual summer sale had begun at 10 o'clock this morning and would continue through the weekend. What a crowd. All right, that was chapter 56. Odd is at the mall, trying to find Varner, Officer Varner, Bob Robertson's kill buddy. See you soon.